It's interesting because I had a dream last night. I was about to. I really wanted to say
I swear to God, if you start quoting Dr. King.
It's really funny because Caleb and I are still video chatting while this is going on, and the look on his face is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "No, I had an actual dream, which is very much a rarity, because the way that my sleep goes is I close my eyes, I wake up, it's the next day. That's it. I don't, they say you dream in your sleep. I haven't recalled very many dreams in years, basically. But this one was interesting. It had to do with nepotism, in all honesty, and I thought it was really funny is because it came from a scenario. Here's the dream. It's just very interesting because you get to enter my brain just a little bit, guys.
Mind freak.
Mind freak! Are you ready? Actually,
Yep.
Are you ready? Are you ready, guys? Are we ready here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're ready.
So the dream consisted of me like being in this huge ass mansion. I recall many of the faces and even their first names, but we are not going to say that. But there was a section within the first entryway of the house that has a double spiral staircase going upstairs. Not a spiral, but like one of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't. I was like, you're doing the arm movements, but like it's like like an S style spinal like case stairwell that goes on both sides, and then there's like a giant chandelier in the middle as soon as you walk in. Yeah, one of those. But there's a side room to the right, and I guess I made that home base. That's where I was in my dream, where it was just like, oh yeah, I'm not living here, but I'm staying here. Apparently I'm like watching the house, and this person comes in with a whole posse of people, and kind of like one of those old ye old ancient like things where it's just not ancient, but like during the Renaissance, where it's just like, oh, this person is like the lady of the house and this is her court and whatnot,
Her
and
entourage.
they're all like laughing.
Yeah.
It's basically her entourage, and like they're all laughing and whatnot, and then she has the audacity to talk me down. By the way, we're still in modern times. Like we're like 2020, 2022, and she's talking to me. It's like, you shouldn't be living under this, blah blah blah. You don't know this person. Like, it's this person's house, blah blah blah. And I think in that dream, I had an apparency that I was to be hired on for whatever business that this whole thing consisted, and the person in charge was named Marvin.
The Martian.
We'll say he's a Martian. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, sure. It's 2022. Elon Musk is just around the corner getting us to Mars.
And UFOs have been confirmed real, so
Yeah,
I mean, it makes
back
sense.
in 2019. Do you
By the
remember
way,
when
if
they
you missed
released
out
all
on
that shit?
that,
that was crazy.
yeah, if you missed out on that during the pandemic, I don't know what to tell you, but they confirmed that UFOs actually exist. So, yay, second nature that it ended up being very under wraps, and like it squeaked out, even though that the news was like ginormous.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it was really weird because like they released all of those videos, all of that information, all to like the public, and people are just like, "Huh, I knew it. Okay, whatever. Moving on. What are the Kardashians doing?"
fair. Getting into a lot of trouble, and regardless, we'll talk about that
Being
another
rude
day.
to their drivers, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another day. But going back to the dream, like this person, this lady of the house, she wasn't the lady of the house. She just knew the person who owned the house, was with her entourage, and she's talking down to me. And if you know me in real life, we know that I will be a smart ass back, and I will retaliate the exact same way you retaliate me. And that's just the nature of who I am. Like,
And energy in, energy out. If you come with aggressive intent, I'm gonna shut you down real fast.
Yeah. So that's exactly what happened, and I got talked down to, and she was like, "Oh, I talked to Marvin, and it's not going to be the case. We're not going to take you on." And I was like, "Aha! Oh really? Oh really? Oh really, miss? Is that really how it's going to be?" Her entourage gasped, and gasp was like, What news is this? What's going on?
Have you been watching like Rain or something, or like any of those like?
Dude, no, I haven't had time for any of that. And I was just like, well, look at this here on my cell phone. I have Marvin's number on speed dial. And I was like, roasting this lady because I was like, oh, you think you're all high and mighty because of this. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, do you see where you're standing? You're in the middle of the front door. Guess what's all around the front door? There are cameras here. There are hidden cameras. Not like hidden cameras like you got pranked hidden cameras, but just like actual cameras that are like you have to really pay attention to see them.
No,
and it was just like
like basic security cameras. Like
pretty much.
They're not going to be obnoxiously placed. Like you don't place security cameras where they would be easily disabled. So yeah,
kind of like Nest cameras and whatnot inside the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you see that camera? Do you see that camera? Do you see that camera? Well, boy, do I have news for you. I know Marvin. I personally know Marvin. He and I are business partners. You know that silent business partner that he talks about all the time? Well, hello. And it felt very much so like undercover boss kind of thing. And by all means, I roasted this woman. I crushed her. I floored her. Like if she had never been like she was one of those like proper prim princesses that like everyone has said yes to her, but no one has ever said no. I am that no.
Yeah,
and
I am the no. Doctor.
I am the no. Doctor no. And the look on her face, I was like, yes. So at this point, this is actually my home. This is not Marvin's home. And you have been a very much so uninvited guest. And, the people of the house, housekeepers, all of that whatnot, not very many. Because if it's me, we're all friends. Like, I treat you well, I treat you nice.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you have been terminated. And I am making sure you are never going to work in a position that you have ever been. Yeah. You may leave. If not, I will kindly escort you out.
You're excused. You are dismissed.
And of course, there's a blow up because someone's ego got crushed. And
no. But this is like a chef's kiss type of like moment.
Oh, like, right? It's like movie-esque.
I want to see this. I want to see this reenacted IRL. Like I want to see you like all like set up. Like I want to see like I don't know who we would cast. Like I feel like the lady who plays Bellatrix Lestrange would be like perfect for this female
Okay, I can
role.
see that. I can
like,
see that.
She does like entitled and like with crazy amount of like. To her, she does that so well. She's amazing. That's
very
why
much
she played
so.
A very good Red Queen or whatever she was from
in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of it, to be perfectly honest, but like she did a great job. So good.
She did a good job, and it was actually pretty. It was a beautiful movie. Like animation,
really pretty.
Animation wise, it was great. Animation was great. Writing,
really, really pretty.
But writing wasn't there.
Too much. You're not supposed to have plot to Alice in Wonderland. That's not what's supposed to happen in Alice in Wonderland.
You're supposed to have a good old time tripping balls.
No, I mean it's basically an acid trip without actually taking acid.
I mean, true.
And if you go by the Warehouse 13 lore of Alice in Wonderland, it was the writer Dodgson, I can't remember his actual name.
I don't remember either. It's been a minute.
Yeah, no, like the writer like chronicling a schizophrenic's like descent into madness. Alice's quote unquote adventures in Wonderland is like Warehouse 13. If you guys haven't seen Warehouse 13, it is an amazing sci-fi series. There's only 4 seasons. I wanted a 5th season for so long, but it'll never happen because I just think sci-fi doesn't have the money for it anymore.
I don't think sci-fi ever really had the money.
Yeah, I mean they did Eureka.
Yeah, but they ran it to the ground though, unfortunately.
That is true. That is very true. But, like, they used to... Sci-Fi Channel used to have some great series. Like, they had Dinotopia. They had Tin Man, which, like, made it big.
I'm going to pause you real quick. Dinotopia was not initially a sci-fi show. It was an NBC, if I'm not mistaken, show or Universal. So yeah, that'd have to be NBC, if I'm not mistaken. And it got picked up after that because it was a mini series, and then they made it a series afterwards.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All I know is like I know that is a mini series, but like I saw it on Sci-Fi before I saw it
Yeah.
on NB or before I saw it anywhere else. But I guess it just didn't take off
Something
on
like that.
anywhere
Something
else
like
except
that.
for Sci-Fi.
I mean,
Oh,
the book
I
series
know
was
it's-
fantastic. The book series was
Oh,
fantastic for Dinotopia.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't know that had a book series. All I know is
Yeah.
a show. All I know is that Sci-Fi sometimes gets like things really really right, and then other times there's Sharknado. Like
Where it's really, really, really wrong that we like it so much because of how bad it is.
I mean Sharktopus and like all of the other mutant creature
I
sci-fi
love it.
original movies that are just so
Octoshark.
cheesily acted. Octoshark. Yeah,
I think
no,
it was.
like,
I think it was Octoshark versus Cyborg Raptor or something like that.
don't-
Mechanoraptor or something like that.
Mechano. I don't know. All I know is Sci-Fi. Keep doing what you do, like because even if it's terrible, it's not even a C grade movie. It's still entertaining.
It very much so is. It very, very, very much so is.
Yeah.
But you know your niche, and people love your niche currently. Do we wish that it was a lot better? Yes, because we missed the stuff that had depth. But right now, when it comes to sci-fi,
Well, the
we
real problem I'm thinking is we've gotten so technologically advanced. There's almost no mystery to science fiction anymore.
yeah, I agree.
Like we're like our theoretical physicists are already proving that certain concepts that were science fiction are real and happen all the time. So nothing feels like magic or fantastical anymore, or feels
No.
like it's sufficiently advanced technology where it makes sense. Like
Right.
I don't know if you've seen the Atom Project yet with
Oh, that's Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds
And I forgot what's her face. No, I was supposed to watch that with my mom for just like because she loves action movies and I like sci-fi movies,
yeah,
and
dude
that
what-
was like in
yeah like
that was
sit-
that was in the middle.
Yeah, dude, definitely like sit down with your mom and your dad if you want to sit down with.
I can't because my mom already watched it without me. That's the point I was going to go against, and I was just like, dude, I'm like, you said we were going to watch this. And she's like,
okay. If not,
I'll
then-
watch it on my own time. I'll watch it on my own time. That's not a problem. We'll do that for sure. But
But
yeah.
no, like since you haven't seen it, I'll use a different movie as reference because Back to the Future. Everything in Back to the Future that we've seen in Back to the Future is not only possible and plausible, it's almost mundane.
Really?
Like flying cars, yes, we could totally build flying cars right now. What's preventing us from doing it? We have people who drive and kill people. And we can't have them driving flying cars because they would kill towers.
I was also going to say that, and also the money moguls for oil as well.
Well, I mean, you would think that a vehicle that is far less efficient at getting you from point A to point B would actually be a net gain for the oil companies, but the bigger problem right now is the fact that we don't have enough energy density in batteries for it to be an electric vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And batteries are just way too heavy. Like even the lightest like supercapacitors are way too heavy and don't have enough energy capacity for them to actually fly for long enough. Like yes, we have like really small drones and stuff, and we even have drones that can lift people, but like doing it cost effectively, fiscally responsibly, and without creating just an ungodly amount of e-waste is
Right.
currently a pipe dream. It's possible and it's plausible, but isn't science fiction? No. So we're reaching an almost Star Wars-esque plateau of technology,
Okay.
where nothing new has like been really invented in the scientific community, like actually like patented, made commercially available outside of stuff that we've already seen portrayed in media.
Yeah.
Like, they keep trying to make clear displays a thing, and I don't understand why. Does no one care about privacy in the future? Like, I don't want people seeing me, like, playing my video game on the other side of my screen. Like, no. I've got strats and stuff that I, like, know how to do, and I don't want them copying my strat. Like, no. Screw that. I've been working on building this character forever, and I, like, you know, I don't need other people just, like, staring at, like, what I'm watching. What if I'm watching a YouTube video that just happens to have a thought in it, you know? Like, it happens.
It does happen. But
Yeah.
speaking of futuristic, like, aspects, side note, forced tangent, because this is something I want to talk about, was that where I was working here in LA for said project happened to be at a certain backlot with a certain clock tower, and at the time, I think, was it last podcast or last recording, or was it recording before, that I got to show you what I got for myself for my birthday.
Yes.
And what was it that I got for my birthday, Caleb?
He got himself a Lego DeLorean.
DeLorean for the movie Back to the Future. And the timing could not be more perfect. That set was on the Universal backlot with the actual clock tower from Back to the Future. And
I'm several shades of jelly. Like, I was so many shades of jelly.
I was very fortunate that, fortunately, like, I could talk about it, but I can't post it and I can't tag. I was able to take glam shots, and I don't think I've sent you any of the photos, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you haven't sent me anything, and I know you're not technically supposed to.
I'm not sending you anything. What do you mean? I'm not sending you jack shit.
I
can only talk to you about it by all accounts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to take personal photos of the finished Lego car, and I did it with the clock tower in the background, and oh my goodness, like,
oh, you actually got that approved? You had the Lego, you had the,
like, you know what? No one was watching. I'm incriminating myself, but, you know, at the same time too, it is what it is. But I was able to spend some time in that backlot and enjoy the sights, with said things as well. No complaints whatsoever. But I do have an album that I cannot post online, just for the sheer fear of getting stuff deleted. So,
I mean, getting your existence Thanos snapped off of the internet.
I mean, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, I was very surprised, and I was just very, very happy with the timing, by all means. And I couldn't have asked for anything. I couldn't have asked for anything better because of it.
I mean, you can at least scratch that off your bucket list. That's like,
well, yeah. I mean, to begin with, like, being on that set was on my bucket list, because when you go to Universal Studios and you take the tram tour at the theme park, they drive you through that that lot, and they allow you to they allow you to, like, see it, and then they show clips of, like, different movies of, like, stuff that was filmed during, like, that time. So it was very nostalgic, and very, like, I was very much so, like, a big ass kid when that happened, when I got to be there. And so it's just, like, the timing was just super dope. But yeah, so stuff like that happened. And, like, another segue to Legos, I don't know about you, Caleb, but I love Lego games. And the newest Lego game for Star Wars came out, the complete Skywalker saga. I'm not very far into it, but oh my god, is it fun. It is very fun.
What system is it on?
I did some research because I was thinking about getting it for the computer,
Uh huh.
but I have it for the Xbox Series X, and the main reason was after reading up on like different reviews on the different systems, it seems that the Xbox Series X and the Series S, it runs best on the Series S.
Oh,
But the
really?
series, yeah, like it runs at 60 FPS and I think it is up to 4K. For me, that's a problem because I have a 1080p television.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, when I upgrade to 4K, then I won't have that big of a problem.
Yeah.
But it was said that there hasn't been very many issues with the Xbox and the Series X. It hands down it is most reliable on the Series S. So that is the console right under the Series X.
Mm-hmm.
But the Series X, like X as in Xavier, and the PS5 are on par with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
The the worst console is the Switch. Unfortunately, I have seen it on the Switch, and it is incredibly buggy
I
and
wonder
frame
why that
droppy.
is. Like I wonder if it's just like I know that the Switch really isn't that powerful. I mean, mind you, it's still like 8 times as powerful as the Wii U. Like,
Hey, I like my Wii U, okay?
I
Just because nobody had it, didn't mean that it wasn't a great system. It should have been what the Wii actually should have been.
initially, yeah, I understand that, but what can you do? Um,
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo does half steps.
yeah, they are more incremental than other things, but they're kind of phasing out their regular handhelds because the Switch is their console that is simultaneously their Game Boy and their console. So,
Yeah,
and I don't think Nintendo's ever going to go into higher tier gaming because Nintendo has always been not the bleeding cutting edge of gaming. They've
yeah,
always been very safe, very well implemented, I want to
and
say.
very stingy on their IPs.
Yeah, extraordinarily stingy on their IPs. But they can only hold on to their IPs for so much longer.
Yeah,
And actually, funny word of note, Disney, uh, who is like the leader in holding on to their IPs at 90 something years, right? For
yeah,
Steamboat Willie. Yeah. Um, things might be changing and intellectual property might start going back to the way it was initially meant to be, where you had the exclusive rights to produce your content for 10 years and then it became public domain. We're starting to move back towards that with what recently happened in Florida. Did you hear about uh the governor removing Disney World's exclusive like self-governance rights and stuff?
no, I did not.
Yeah, so back I can't remember. I feel like it's back in like either it's probably back in the 70s. Back in the 70s, Disney World essentially got so big that they physically needed their own sub-government to run itself. So they got this like ridiculously huge like government exemption that allowed Disney World to self-govern and became its own pseudo nation state within Florida.
That's a very Florida thing.
Yeah, that is a very Florida thing. Like that would literally never happen anywhere else. And since quite recently, the governor of Florida just reversed that self governance because of what's been happening in Florida. So really interesting times we live in. That's all I have to say about that. It is we live in some weird times, but I'm really looking forward to the possibility of SpongeBob SquarePants fighting Stitch to the death. I don't know. I just think I don't know. Like how do you like SpongeBob is this or like even better because essentially you could potentially have two immortal beings, SpongeBob and Deadpool, fighting each other. Who wins?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, yeah. No.
Who would win?
Well, I mean, we've already. Okay. So, Deadpool can regenerate from basically an atom of himself. Like, I think we've already. Like, it's already been proven that if there's even a ectoplasmic, like, existence of Deadpool, he'll eventually grow himself back. Whereas SpongeBob is infinitely divisible and can replicate from himself. I don't know. I think it's a like one of those things where he'd end up hanging out with Pinkie Pie, Deadpool, and they'd just go and like beat the shit out of their animators, because why would they fight each other when they could just fight who's animating them?
Don't forget to add Daffy Duck to that too.
Oh yeah, Daffy Duck. You know, any of the the Animaniacs. Yeah, they would probably end up doing something very similar. Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah, no. Actually, that would be kind of cool to see, like, a Warner Brothers, Disney, Nickelodeon, like, DC Marvel mashup.
Well, here's the thing. Like, in comics, DC and Marvel have had comics together.
Oh, yeah, they've done crossovers before. Like,
Yeah.
we know this to be true. It's just every single time they do a crossover, DC has to nerf itself because Marvel can't touch them.
Certain characters in Marvel can't touch them.
The vast majority of Marvel characters can't touch DC characters.
That's literally what I just said. We are agreeing on the same thing.
Yeah,
you just did not like my wording, so you had to correct it.
Yeah, okay. There are definitely a few in Marvel that are DC level beings. There are definitely a few. There are very few and far between, but there are a few.
Exactly what I just said. Thank you, Kim.
But Marvel definitely has the more appealing stories.
Yeah.
To the average person.
Well, I think it's due to the realism, the hyper realism that Marvel has versus the fantasy aspect that DC has, right?
Well, there's that, and then you have all these ridiculously layered characters. Like, they have their own motivations. You have, like, I mean, mind you, if you boil any individual DC character down to their core motivations, they're not dissimilar from those of Marvel characters. It's just Marvel characters feel human, whereas DC characters feel like gods.
Yeah, because here's the big thing. And you know where it started? It literally started with Superman, because the origin of Superman were these two kids were like, we create a superhero for Action Comics. It was Action Comics, correct? Yeah. The first, for Superman. These two kids were just like, hey, we're going to create this Superman that will solve all of our problems by sheer force.
Yeah,
you know,
sheer force of will. Like, I mean, sneezing a galaxy out of existence, you know, stronger, jumps higher than the tallest building, stronger than a locomotive, blah, 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 blah. All the things that were Superman, like, back in the day. I mean, like, he literally clapped a black hole out of existence. Like,
right, and on top of which, like, during World War II, there's literally a comic strip where Superman literally sits down with Hitler and says, say the war is over.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And just says, do it. Stop. Just stop doing that.
Yeah, and, you know, like, if you you have never experienced comic books, like, to the sheer level of origins, like Golden Age origins, it's quite hilarious in DC. Marvel, not so much, because they catered towards the hyper-realism of actual cities and whatnot, but there was still some questionable decision-making when it came to Marvel as well.
Neither DC nor Marvel are squeaky clean when it comes to certain comic book aspects. I mean, just look at Wonder Woman. The artist who created Wonder Woman was hyper misogynistic, like, just straight up, like, true to the word of misogynist. Like, he actually specifically created a female character so that she would lose all the time and that used to be her thing. Obviously, it's changed with Gal Gadot and all of the amazingness that came out of the new Wonder Woman, um, and like later Wonder Woman depictions where she stopped being essentially just a very strong female human and became, essentially Superman esque,
Right.
like in power level. I think she's like just barely below Superman on like the actual power tier, but because her bracelets are magical, in theory she could still like whack him across the head and actually do damage. Same thing goes for her lasso, because I think that's also magic, and Superman's not immune to magic. I don't know. I'm really
You're the
I've
DC
tried.
guy.
Yeah,
You're
no,
the DC guy. You're the
I've
DC
tried. I've tried so many times to get to the bottoms of like certain topics within the DC universe, like just like within like one of the DC universes, but like it's never coherent and it's never continuous, and like between each individual animator, no two Supermans are exactly the same. There's so many different Supermen. There's so many different Supergirls and Superwomen and like Wonder Woman, and the one time Wonder Woman was portrayed as a man, Wonder Man, who's like completely got disappeared because it was just a terrible plot line. Why would you want essentially a cowboy that was like, lassoing criminals? I mean, that's actually not a terrible plot line. I think that's like, isn't that like the plot of like one of those Disney Channel original movies, like a cowboy? I don't know. Anyway, like basically, there's too much, and I don't know enough, and I will never know enough, and it's fun to deep dive into, but it's a huge waste of time. But it's my time to waste, I guess.
I mean, I suppose so. Like that's the one thing that always was problematic with me with DC, is
Uh-huh.
that it's most certainly the cohesiveness of the character, because like you literally just explained, it goes from one end to the other end of the spectrum, and it's still under the same category. It's still under the same hero. Um, Granted, now when it comes to Marvel, because this isn't a Marvel versus DC type of conversation. It's
No, no,
just
this is just talking about within their own canons, within their own universes, like the sheer amazing amount of storytelling that goes on both sides,
yeah,
and
yeah,
how like these lexicons, these thought processes, like there are people whose lives have actually been touched by characters who don't exist, that aren't real, that have no corporeal form, but through the medium of art, people's lives have been touched and changed.
right,
Like the Deadpool comic with the suicidal girl or whatever. Like, or the several times where like animators have changed people's lives by including a unique character in like the background of a film, or like any times a Make-A-Wish kid wants to meet the creator of a comic book, or any of the
yeah,
times like all I can think is like there are some really great, wonderful, creative people out here, out in, like that exist just worldwide, and I'm so grateful for their existence. But they wouldn't be able to portray this if they were being stepped on and stifled, and if their
yeah,
creativity wasn't fostered. So
yeah.
I don't know what else to say other than like pursue your dreams.
I mean, that's really what we want for all people to do. Unfortunately, the realism of life definitely gets in the way of that.
Well, yeah, not every dream that is pursuable is going to be fiscally responsible or financially stable, because fiscal responsibility and financial stability are two halves of the same coin. Like, you can have both. It's just you're not going to be as big if you're doing one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, there's only one Elon Musk.
Are you sure about that?
There's only one. I mean, and he happens to exist in our time.
Are you still sure about that?
I mean, I mean, technically, multiversal theory says that there's an infinite number of Elon Musks, but if we're talking about our specific timeline, this specific Elon Musk that we have bought Twitter and is about to become the world's greatest meme lord.
But are you still sure that there's only one?
Only one. I mean, he has like his children, right? He has Ash, which is one of his kids' names. It's actually X something, X Ash something 12 or whatever. The child's legal name, I can't remember. It's a while ago. All I know is
his name is an equation.
yeah.
But
I mean, it has the AE thing, which Old English translates to Ash.
yeah.
So I think he calls his child Ash.
But once again, I'm going to ask: are
Is he
you
the
certain?
only Elon Musk?
I was gonna say, are you certain in this universe, in this current point in time, that there is only one Elon Musk?
Oh, I mean, there's probably other people in the world that might share his name if you're talking about people with the same name. But like, so far as the being, the meme, the legend that is Elon Musk, I'm pretty sure there's only one. Cause
Are you and again, I'm going to ask the damn same question.
yeah,
Are you certain?
Sure? I would probably put money on it.
I would like to think otherwise.
You
Hot take.
Hot take. Are you saying that Elon Musk has an evil twin and his name is Jeffrey Bezos?
No. I am saying that Elon Musk is not just one person. I am saying Elon Musk is multiple of this person.
Okay, why do you say that?
Multiversal things. You know.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, within our singular timeline, I mean, there's something to be said about mental state, right? Because from instant to instant, you are the same person, but it comes down to Archimedes' ship, right? As you grow older, technically you're being replaced by newer and newer cells. Now, if you were to assemble all the dead cells together, you would have a dead you somewhere in the universe. But because it's dead, it's no longer you and therefore not you. So the you that is you now is not the you that you were yesterday or the day before that. But you are a summation of the you that was yesterday, the day before that, and the day before that, procedurally until before you were born.
I want to ask this one question because I think I know the answer. You did not finish Loki, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I didn't even start Loki. I have no particular fondness for the character.
That's fine. I will let you know this now. Loki is very important to this new phase of Marvel.
Uh-huh.
Same thing with the What If series, which is going to lead into the next Doctor Strange, which is coming out next week.
Okay.
To be honest, with that, you have to watch. I want to say you really need to watch 2 episodes, but they're all connected. But there's that. Also, have you dabbled in Moon Knight yet? I'm assuming not.
I've actually watched the first episode, and I thought it was really interesting, but I'm not... It wasn't hooking enough where I needed to watch the next one, but I will definitely eventually get around to it. And I don't know enough about the character to be, particularly emotionally invested. All I know is I would be absolutely freaking terrified if I just randomly woke up places.
I know the character. It's definitely a character that I know well. I wouldn't say well, but I know enough that some of the things that Marvel Disney has done to the character is very creative difference, but I don't hate it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to circle back to Loki. You may not like the character, but the things that I think you would appreciate is everything around the character, because it's not purely just about Loki. I'll let you know that now.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was Spider-Man No Way Home and stuff, and how that ties into the rest of the universe and blah 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 blah.
I think it only ties just a little bit, not as much as an understanding of the timeline as Loki will have.
Okay, gotcha. Does the Eternals play anything into the new series, or is that like a one-off that I don't need to watch?
The thing about the Eternals, it correlates more so to the universe of the Guardians of the Galaxy, more so than it does of the multiverse, but the multiverse does play into that. Because hot take, and I know Caleb, you won't mind this. They introduce who should be the next leader of the Avengers.
Okay.
I won't tell you who it is, but the character itself is a leader of the Avengers. That is not. Why am I thinking of? I can't think of his his actual name. That isn't Captain America. Steve Rogers. That isn't Steve Rogers. Now that doesn't mean we're knocking out the Falcon Captain America. But in true Avengers fashion, the main replacement is introduced here, and I think that's where they're going to go with the next Avengers, like the next wave of Avengers. So it's not going to be Captain America again. That's just my hot take. Because, yes, there have been plenty of Captain Americas who isn't Steve Rogers that have been leaders of the Avengers, but I think they are going down this path, which I am very excited about. And I think you would like it too, just because of the character and his or her name. Because you haven't seen it yet, so I can't really tell you who it is. But that's the importance of the Eternals, in my opinion.
Okay.
Moon Knight gets a little more weird in a good way for you. Because I like the way that they directed the episodes, and how the story is coming along. I don't know how it's going to end, and I probably won't like the ending, but I'm very invested on how it's going to go down.
Spectacular. Okay, well, with that, I have some homework to do.
And I have some packing to do because I have to prepare a week ahead of time before I go on my trip to Vegas. And also, the last thing that I wanted to say, which I wanted to start off talking about, is Caleb, watch Sonic 2. I think you will.
I definitely need to watch Sonic 2. After seeing Sonic 1, I know for a fact it must be done. I need to see Sonic 2.
I will say this, like, you'll like the interaction with humans, because I'm not telling you what goes on with that, but you will most certainly love Knuckles. Knuckles isn't my guy, but I liked how he was portrayed in this movie a lot.
Okay. I'm excited. You say I'm gonna like Knuckles, because I was always like into Shadow and stuff. I always thought Shadow was cool. I don't care if he's like the edgiest edgelord to have ever edged an edgelord. It doesn't matter to me. I always thought Shadow was really freaking cool. Like
you'll enjoy Knuckles. You'll enjoy his character arc.
Okay, gotcha. I'm excited. I will definitely have to check that out. Thank you so much for listening to us. This has been a wonderful
99.
time.
Oh, you got ahead of me. I didn't know you were gonna cut me off like that. I'm Jay. I'm Jay.
And I'm Caleb.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace.